Chag Pesach Sameach, aka Happy Passover Week. My trail mix. Hoping it's kosher. It's Passover week, and so Passover week is 7 days, and I figured, what if each day I talked a little bit about Passover? So that's what I'm gonna do. Before the first day, I'm gonna talk about how we got to Passover. Let me tell you this. A testimony and a prophecy are always holding hands. Literally, scripture tells us the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And we see that in Passover. I hope somebody lets me over because this is embarrassing. Can you let me over? Let me over? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about how we got to the location where Passover happened, which is Egypt. Passover happened in Egypt. But how did Israel get to Egypt? Okay? Israel is basically the main character. Well, God's the main character. But Israel is God's chosen people who he chose to basically use and bring the Messiah through and all the things. And so Israel's kind of the second main character. How did Israel get to Egypt? And how did they get in a position where they needed this Passover to happen? What is Passover? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Let's talk about how Israel got into Egypt, because Passover happened at Egypt. All right? It starts with this dude. His name was Joseph, aka Mr. Colorful Coat Boy. All right? He got a colorful coat. He was his dad's favorite. That's just what happened. You want to know why? Read your Bible. He also got a dream from the Lord, and the dream had some things about his family, and his family did not like it. So they were like, all right, bet. All his brothers... Correction to what I actually said. All his brothers threw him in a hole. Somebody found him, and then he got sold into slavery. Well, one thing led to another. He ends up being in jail in Egypt. And then another thing leads to another. And he ends up being secondhand to the Pharaoh himself. Nobody at all was above Joseph except for Pharaoh. And Pharaoh was basically like, listen, you're in charge. I'm going to just chill. You got it. Well, Pharaoh had a dream. He didn't know what the dream was about, but Joseph translated the dream. So Pharaoh had a dream about a famine that was coming, and the entire world was going to basically run out of food. Joseph was the only one that could interpret the dream, so Pharaoh was like, bruh, you straight. He found favor in the eyes of God, and he found favor in the eyes of Pharaoh, because he went through a lot, but he stayed faithful to God, and hey, God saw him through. Joseph interpreted the dream that Pharaoh had and let him know what needed to happen. Lord have mercy, I need to get over again. Joseph interpreted the dream that Pharaoh had, right? And he basically said, this is what we need to do to ensure all the world will have food to eat, as well as Egypt. We need to delegate certain things, put stuff to the side, so when the famine comes, everybody's going to be straight. So Pharaoh said, you got this, right? So Joseph is put into command. Pharaoh's just chilling in the background. He said, Joseph, you got it. Anybody needs anything, you go to Joseph. He's my right-hand man. That's Joseph. Joseph has 11 brothers. These eventually become the tribes of Israel, because they're the children of Israel, who was also named Jacob. All the children of Israel, he had 12 of them, and they became their own little tribes because they had babies and stuff, right? That's Israel. The kingdom of Israel, like the people of Israel, they came from 12 boys that were born to the man Israel. So the famine happens. Everybody in the world is flocking to Egypt to get food, right? Including the families of all his brothers that sold him into slavery. But check this out. Their dad's old. He can't go. So the brothers go. And Joseph recognizes them, but they don't recognize Joseph because Joseph is second in command to the Pharaoh. He's literally in charge of the entire world, basically. Because all the world is coming to Egypt to get some food. Because there's a huge famine. See what I'm saying? So they don't recognize him at all. It's been years. They all have families. Like they sold this kid into slavery when they were kids. So it's been a long time. So he recognizes them, and he like plays with them a little bit, has him going back and forth to his father, XYZ. But eventually he says, yo, it's me. I'm your brother. I forgive you, by the way. Bring my dad here. Like, what are y'all doing? So anyway, they got forgiven. They bring the dad. One thing leads to another, and basically Joseph goes to the Pharaoh and like, hey, my dad and them, they don't have anything going on in Canaan. They have nothing. They are in Goshen right now. Let them come here and just be here. Okay? Pharaoh agrees. Bring your family, Joseph. You're my right hand man. Love you, dude. Bring the family. Let them be here. And whoever's the strongest, let them, work as like herdsmen or whatever. So very good. This is how Israel came into Egypt, because of a famine that happened, and Joseph finding the favor of the Lord, becoming basically the top dog, the person running the show in Egypt. Everybody had to flock to him, and it just so happened that his family also came, and they were welcomed into Egypt as friends of Pharaoh and as friends of Egypt. And really, they were, because of their connection to Joseph is like the second-hand man to Pharaoh. So they were good. They were in right standing with Pharaoh, right? Not only that, they were very feral. They were just they were being fruitful and multiplying, baby. All right. Fast forward some generations. Joseph has passed away. The OG brothers have passed away. The Pharaoh has passed away. There are new faces everywhere. There's a new Pharaoh. You hear what I'm saying? And this new Pharaoh has no idea who Joseph is. No idea the relationship that the old Pharaoh and Joseph has. No idea who these Israelites are. No idea who Israel, who Jacob is, the original brothers. They don't know anything. All they know is that the Israelites are outnumbering the Egyptians, and they could rise up, fight us, and win if we don't get control over them. That was his mind of thinking. So this is when Israel becomes slaves to Egypt. The Pharaoh became insecure and was scared. Is this? Okay, no. The Pharaoh became insecure and was scared that Israel would rise up in strength and basically conquer Egypt. So they forced them to be slaves. And they made them work and labor, harsh, stupid labor. It sucked for a long time. So it was so bad. They kept multiplying. They kept having babies, and they just multiplying. Just Pharaoh was like, "This is crazy. Are y'all not depressed enough? Why are y'all still making babies?" So basically, he said, "Kill the babies. Kill them. Kill the babies." Because this is ridiculous. We need to stop this from going on. So, but the midwives, the folks that was in there helping them give birth, feared God. They didn't fear man, they feared God. So they did not kill them babies, because they know who the God of Israel is. So they didn't kill the babies. So then Pharaoh was like, all right, then y'all don't want to kill the babies? I'm going to send these people in there, and we need to throw every male child into the Nile River. Throw them in there, drown them. They're trying to drown these kids, right? And of course, if the midwife's not going to kill the babies, then why would they drown the kids? So there was this family that had a baby boy, and they finessed a little bit, put him in the Nile River, but in a basket, had him float. He got caught in the reeds, right? He got caught in I forgot what a reed is. You have to look that up. That's the Hebrew word. You have to look it up. But he got caught in the reeds, right? And so Pharaoh's daughter finds him. All right, this dude's name is Moses, right? Pharaoh's daughter finds Moses, a baby that's in a basket that's caught in the reeds. She takes this baby, takes him home as her own, takes care of this baby. Once again, God makes a way for Israel to like be like some, because Joseph is a child of Israel. So Moses is a child of Israel, right? A great whatever, how many great grandchild, and now Pharaoh's daughter, it has now basically adopted him. Top dog. You see what I'm saying? Top dog. So adopted him, you know. The Lord finessed the whole. He didn't like. I don't know if finesse is a good word. The Lord didn't finesse, but He just made a way that his own mom got to nurse him without them knowing that was his mom, right? Anyway, Moses grows up, finds out kind of who he is for real, because he kind of like, well, actually, let me not, because the Prince of Egypt wasn't the most accurate. But Moses grows up and he sees how the Israelites are being treated. They're being beat. They're being mistreated, all this other stuff. I mean, so he gets upset. He kills one of the Egyptians that are abusing the Israelites. And then he flees, right? He runs away. And God is like, yo, Moses, he's in a bush. The bush on fire. It's not burning though, right? Moses is like, whoa, what is going on in this bush? So, okay, the Lord didn't call it to Moses. Moses really was curious about this burning bush that's not burning at all, but it's got fire on it. So Moses came over there. Then the Lord is like, look, take your shoes off. It's holy over here, okay? This that good carpet. Take your shoes off. Not playing. He said, take your shoes off, right? Moses was like, this is crazy. Like, you know, he snap. You know what I'm saying? He fell on his face. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But anyway, basically the Lord let him know, hey, we're gonna have to free we gonna free the Israelites, like, so, and you gonna do it. Moses trying to give excuses, but God was like, stop giving me excuses, like, you gonna do it for real. You know what I'm saying? Your brother can help you, XYZ, but it's gonna happen. So anyway, they get to work, and there was a lot of stuff that happened. I'm not gonna talk about everything that happened. There were plagues and all this stuff, but the last plague is when the Passover happened. God's glory was shown through the hardened heart of Pharaoh. It enabled the narrative to unfold that showed what the lengths that God would go through to free his people, right? So keep that in mind. The lengths that God would go through to free his people. And in this context, remember, a testimony and a prophecy go hand in hand. So in this testimony, his people just so happen to be a nation. But understand that this is also a prophecy of all people that were made in the image of God. It's every tongue, tribe, nation, and people, not one nation. But right now we're talking about one nation. But this one nation was prophesying of what would happen for the whole world. We're going to talk about that tomorrow.
Bible in my hand, treated like a rock. Watch David stepping on the field, sling, swinging, go crazy. Watch Jesus stepping on the water, eyes up, no waving. I bring my Bible every day if you was asking.